Full time at the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal 0, Burnley 1. This was the game that I was kind of banking on for an Arsenal victory. It's that perennial thing at the moment. I kind of want to say it's unbelievable that we've managed to lose this game, and yet it is entirely believable. 4 consecutive league defeats at home, I think for the first time since the 50s. Real concerns now about this team, the direction of this team under this manager. I have to say that, and I'm someone who's been a very vocal supporter of Mikel Arteta, but you know, there comes a point where it becomes very difficult to maintain that support. I'm seeing some very worrying signs from this group of players. Let's start with the sending off. What Xhaka does is completely idiotic, and I think it probably costs Arsenal the game, especially given that we started the second half playing a little bit better. And I think expecting us to play well in this game was always unrealistic. It was always about winning, and we did at least seem to be headed towards a win. The way that, well, we were 0-0, but the way we started the second half, and we should have scored in the first half really. Lacazette should have scored. I think maybe Gabriel should have scored with that header. That's not to say we're playing well, but if we'd squeaked a 1-0 victory tonight, who knows what it might have done for the manager, for the team, for the confidence. Xhaka getting sent off like that, completely unforgivable. A moment of real idiocy from him, something which suggests he's not learned the lessons of previous incidents, and something that's very, very frustrating. The only thing I would say, and this is not a defence of Xhaka, and I think it'll be fascinating to see how Mikel Arteta talks about him, given how critical he was of Nicola Pepe. But seeing those two incidents relatively close together, and then seeing Mohamed El-Neni manage to avoid being sent off for a bizarre incident in our own penalty area, which was ultimately punished by the own goal, that speaks to a kind of wider, broader indiscipline. I guess a kind of simmering frustration in the team. And yeah, that's natural. That's natural when you're not winning. But it looks to me like a symptom of a team who aren't particularly happy. And I don't know, but I fear that may tell us something about the relationship between the players and the coach right now. And ultimately, that relationship is always what decides the fate of a manager. If a team quit on a manager, the game is up. I don't think we're in that place quite yet, but the way this team are behaving, I mean, I've got a mate who's not an Arsenal fan who texts me saying it's like the players are going crazy, and I kind of know what they mean, and I think it shows it's sort of a sign of an unhappy group. And that has to be on the manager ultimately. Anyway, look, dreadful from Xhaka, completely unacceptable. You know, not something that you can do. Costs us the match. And there you have it. I mean, with 10 men, we can't really score a goal with 11 men. So with 10 men, it never felt particularly likely, even against Burnley. And of course, we managed to concede. And of course, it's Aubameyang who can't buy a goal and at one end of the pitch, putting one in his own net. Whew. Wow, I wonder how he's feeling about his decision to extend his contract in the summer right now. Not that he's blameless in the situation. Yeah, I'm very, 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 very concerned about where we're headed. And I'll tell you why, because I don't think anyone at Arsenal will be inclined to change this, to relieve Mikel Arteta of his duties, to bring someone else in. They've made a very public declaration of faith in this manager. And right now, you have to wonder if they were a little carried away. I think plenty of supporters have been carried away. I think even myself probably slightly carried away. And that's okay for supporters to do that. It's even okay for, you know, journalists to do that. We get things wrong all the time. But for the people running the club, they won't want to be seen to have done that. And they'll give this every chance, every opportunity to be turned round. The question now is, can Mikel Arteta do that? You know, unlike with most managers, there's not really a track record that we can look at and say, oh yeah, well, we know, you know, when he's in the shit, he's able to pull something out of the fire. It's something Arsene Wenger always had. I tweeted this earlier tonight. However bad it seemed to get, he knew how to stop the rot. He knew how to get a victory in ugly circumstances, put together a few clean sheets, put together a few results. He came back from the brink time after time. Arteta's in that place now where it's not working for him. He's getting bits of bad luck with an own goal. His players are not helping him out. Can he find what's needed to turn this round? Southampton and Everton coming up. I'm not confident. That's a good Southampton side. It's an Everton side that beat Chelsea. And look, this is on the manager too. You know, ultimately, Xhaka is his selection. He had alternatives tonight in Danny Ceballos, Ainsley Maitland-Niles. He didn't use them. You know, I think he's put his faith in the wrong place at times. I'm thinking of Xhaka, I'm thinking of Willian. Maybe I'm thinking of Aubameyang at this point. You know, maybe that was wrong of him. In his inexperience, he has clung to experience and it's not working for him. Very difficult now because what are Arsenal playing for really at this point in the league? So, you know, how necessary is it? People will say relegation. I honestly don't think that's on the cards. Famous last words. But I am a bit sort of stuck about what the way forward is from here. Tricky. A few people with too much faith in the wrong people. Certainly Arteta with some of these players. Perhaps the executive. With this coach. I'm still figuring it out. But I'm in a place where I'm definitely thinking maybe Arteta isn't quite what I thought he was. And that is, if you're not thinking that, I don't know what you're watching. I hope I'm wrong and that you can turn this round, but it feels difficult at this point. And one thing that's fascinating as well is I've never seen the positive sentiment that manager has evaporate quite so quickly. If you look from the FA Cup to now, wow, it is fast. And results are a big part of that, but there are other things Arteta's done that have contributed to that too. That's a big conversation, but how is it? Look, ultimately, the opinion of the supporters doesn't matter much at the moment. We're barely in the ground, and it's not our decision. But the way in which he's lost the faith and goodwill of the fans so fast is fascinating. And I'm not sure I can quite remember anything like it. And I think a big part of it is that if you're trying to make the case for Arteta, what is your evidence? With any other manager, you can look at a track record and say, this is why I believe in him. With Arteta, you got an FA Cup win, which is a cup win, and that's about it. And it means that his support base is kind of dwindling all the time. I could talk and talk about this. We will talk and talk about this. Ask Us Extra tomorrow. More analysis through the week. I'll speak to you on Wednesday after the Southampton game. Whew, almost can't bear to watch it. All right, guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.